to me. Good afternoon, Mr. Adlington.
Good afternoon, Mr. Henley.
How are you doing, man? You're looking well.
Very good, thank you.
Excellent.
Thank you for that.
Thank you so much for agreeing to spend some time with me this afternoon. Um, what
My
it
pleasure.
is, as you know, I'm kind of on this mission. I'm producing a lot of content. It frazzles my mind that people don't want to do marketing. And it seems to me that that's the thing that will make them successful, but nobody wants to do it. And I'm kind of interested to understand that. So I'm talking to people and I'm getting different perspectives. Now, I'm expecting your perspective will be different again because you are a brand and identity specialist. Am I allowed to call you a brand and identity specialist?
Yes, please, you have permission.
Okay, excellent. So you are a brand and identity specialist. So you're not concerned like the other people that I've spoken to about getting things happening, getting SEO happening, or getting social media happening, or telephone calls happening, or any of those things, and generating leads and supporting sales and, you know, being concerned about the business. You are much more concerned about the brand and identity of your customers. So I'm expecting your perspective to be different again. Now, the way this works is we're interested to know, obviously, how you are qualified to talk to us about brand and identity. So what your experience is. We're interested to know kind of how you feel about marketing, what it is that you deliver for your customers and how you deliver success for your customers. And then, of course, because we're in this ridiculous, awful situation now with the pandemic, I'm interested to know what your recommendation is for businesses right now. So shall we start at the beginning? Can you tell us, how are you qualified to talk to us about your part of marketing, which is brand and identity?
Yes, thank you very much. So my main current qualification is I'm the founder and creative director of Autotelic Arts. You can check our website out, autotelic.art. And what we do is we do high vibrational branding. And the main focus of that is finding the most pure and powerful parts of my customers' identities, and then using those to build a brand that positions them as the pioneers of positive impact and change in their area of work. So in this capacity, I've had the company since almost about 2 years now. And in this capacity, I am specifically looking for positive impact businesses who, to get some guidance on that, they could be working in any one of the UN sustainability goals. There's I think there's 12 or 17 of those, but any number of those. And really, it's as someone who's an artist at heart, my intention is to use my creativity to help them make a bigger impact and to reach more people in a more effective way. So previously to that, I've had a long career working in the digital industries in London. I've worked with tech startups, leading the creative side for them and coming up with creative concepts. I've worked for multi-platform production agencies doing a lot of digital deliverables, and I've worked for a lot of ad agencies during the sort of like boom period of Flash, doing a lot of interactive rich media content. So kind of the general trajectory of my career has been sort of like really coming from a creative heart, but branching out to work amongst the wonderful array of elaborate digital spheres that came up over the last like 15, 20 years. And then nowadays, I've really come back to what's close to my heart, which is the creative side, and working very closely with people to realize, like I said, a high vibrational identity and brand for them.
Okay, so that's interesting. So you've done kind of traditional businesses who like tech startups. Who are your clients typically now? Who are you working with currently?
So typically my clients will be in the personal development or spiritual development worlds. So they will be highly empathic and very talented, compassionate professionals who use their skills to help others grow and transcend their life context, so that they can either heal trauma, or that they can grow and develop a greater capacity to go about their own lives. So just to give you a quick example, that might be yoga. For instance, one of my clients is called the Baptiste Foundation, and they take the healing and the personal development capabilities of yoga into underprivileged communities like inner city kids. And they're very active in the States, primarily based there. Yeah, another client is a psychologist and clinical sexologist who is also a Wim Hof trainer and instructor. And he created this wonderful program that focuses on a 3-day retreat, whereby he uses the power of Wim Hof and the physical embodied capacity of that to create a shift to help people move and anchor psychological developments. So yeah, I really I love working with clients who have a lot of context and richness in the way they interact and relate and help people to develop, because I'm personally interested in that as well, and it tends to be an area that we can really find a lot of richness from.
Okay, cool. So that's a very specific niche, but it's a very brand reliant niche. I mean, it's a niche where there's a lot of people doing that, and they definitely need to differentiate themselves. And also, I would say there's a lot of trust required. They need their brand to engender that trust if people are going to engage with them and go forward. So that's interesting. How this is probably the wrong way to think about it, but how kind of, and this is the wrong word to use entirely, but how, it's really the wrong word. I can't think of a better word. The word I'm going to use is lucrative, or
Yeah.
how, you know, how easy is it to, because you know, I'm not particularly spiritually or personally developed. So
Yeah.
I kind of see these people as, I don't know, I expect their clothes to smell of mushrooms. That's what I expect. And I expect them to be driving really bad cars. But how easy is it to actually eke out a living if you are offering these kinds of services and these kinds of opportunities?
Oh, well, you mean for me or for my
No,
clients?
I mean for them.
For them? Well, I
Yes.
mean, um, that those industries are extremely impactful, and the work that people do and the transformations that people go through with my target niche is phenomenal. You know, it's literally life changing. And so, like, whilst I guess there is a perception of these things potentially having a low cost or worth. Excuse me, there's a mosquito that I must deal with. Thank you. Well, maybe there could be a perception of this that that there isn't worth there. That's yeah, that's far from the case. You know, like if you look at I guess let's take it to another extreme. Someone who might also fit in my niche would be a life coach, say, for example. You know, and so they directly work with people on a daily basis to help them understand their they work with their clients to help them understand psychological patterns and ways that they can enrich and change their lives. And it's not uncommon for, you know, like people to be paying six-figure sums for a 6-month engagement with life coaches, you know. So obviously there is a scale, and when you're looking at like one-off courses or say retreats, you know, they will probably be down at a lower level. But then also, you know, people can have hourly consultations as well. But you know, these I think the trend that I'm spotting is that more and more people are really becoming open to the fact that you know, as humans, we don't stop developing when we're adults. You know, it's not like we hit like 18, we leave school, we go through uni, develop a bit more, and then that's it, we stop developing. There's so much capacity and potential in us to develop. And my clients really just help people either regain that to restore where they were, or grow even further to, you know, just basically maximize their capacity so that they can do whatever they love doing or whatever they do professionally to a high level. You know, so it's yeah, it's really I can maybe empathize with where the perception comes from, but yeah, like in recent years, yeah, it's really blown my mind how successful it is. I mean, I guess you should look at Mind Valley, for instance. Are you familiar with Mind Valley?
No.
Okay, so Mind Valley is one of the leading online platforms for personal development and personal growth, and you know, they feature people like let me see. Well, I saw an advert. I'm thinking of him today. A guy called Ken Wilber, a really interesting author and philosopher who's written a lot about integral theory that he developed. I'm trying to think of. There's a couple of kind of like spiritual leaders that are very high profile. Who's the most like high profile or famous yoga teacher that you can think of? Or meditation teacher?
Muji.
Oh, Muji. Yeah. So, you know, I mean, Muji, actually, he was offering a course, an online course the other day, which I think it was about like $100 for a weekend long seminar that you could just watch via Zoom, or that was streamed, you know, over the weekend. But he must have like, you know, how many followers do you think he's got, and how many people do you think he's going to be turning up to that for him at the weekend? If he's charging $100 a go, he's probably going to be bringing in at least 30 grand over the weekend or something like that. I would have thought. Yes. Probably get around 3,000 people at least, won't he? So like, you know, I guess that gives you an idea. Or for instance, Deepak Chopra as well. Like, have you heard of him?
I've heard of him, yes.
Yeah, so like he's super high profile, has massive following, and you know, like is in massive demand for personal appearances, personal talks, and stuff like that. And so, you know, I mean, I guess also there's a sliding scale of the level that the individual practitioners are at as well. You know, Wim Hof, you know, that's another one. He would fit perfectly into my niche as well, and he must be doing okay with his courses and his programs that he puts out as well.
Yes, I think what's clouding my judgment, because I have every respect for this stuff, like it's certainly personal development, spiritual development, I would kind of struggle with a little bit more, but I absolutely love. I plug into Muji most days, and he tells me I'm good enough, and I'm enough, and I'm So I've got like an eye mask that I put on.
You probably know a bit more about spiritual development than you're letting on.
Certainly than I'm letting on. Let's not spoil the illusion. So I value this stuff, and I just suppose, of course, there's a pyramid. So at the top, you've got your Tony Robbinses and your Deepak Chopras, and somewhere in between there and everyone else, you've got your Muji. But I would imagine there's a really wide base of people who would love to be doing this. And, you know, it's when I started my business 20 years ago and I was out networking, there were 15 life coaches at every event. And, you know, the realization was that they weren't particularly in control of their lives because they didn't have any customers, they didn't have any clients, they didn't have any business. But that was 20 years ago. So clearly things have changed since then. So I'm just interested to know if there is an industry here. And you've made it very obvious. Like if we didn't know, right at the top is Tony, what's his name, making tens of millions of dollars.
Tony Robbins.
Tony Robbins, yeah. So okay, so that's cool.
Like
so
insane membership amounts for like individuals to just be part of his inner circle and stuff like that. We're talking, yeah, crazy amounts.
Yes.
Private
Now,
jet level and stuff like that, you know,
private
very
jet
highly
level,
aspirational. Yeah.
hugely aspirational, hugely, hugely rich. Now,
Yeah.
this is interesting. So this is probably the most interesting area to talk about brand, because it's
Mm.
all brand. You know, it's all the
Mm-hmm.
story, it's all the experience, it's all, like, I've met people, I know people who go and see Tony Robbins, and they're saving up for 2 years to go and do that, and they're
Yeah.
stupidly excited for 3 months before, and they're stupidly excited for 3 months afterwards. But from my, I'm not even cynical, but from a marketing perspective, and the
Mm.
way I think about brand, that's all brand. You know, that's
Mm-hmm.
all, because these are the components of brand, like your story, your services, your, all of this is, it's all brand. Okay, so I think this is probably the most interesting place to talk about brand. It's probably the most impactful area of brand.
Mm.
Okay,
Quite possibly.
yeah. Okay, good. All right, cool. So what sort of stuff is it that you do? I'm interested in this vibrational thing. I've written down the vibrational
Mm-hmm.
thing because that is obviously language particular to your niche.
Definitely.
But
But also I must yeah, temper that with it also comes from me as well,
yes,
which is an important thing in the way that I work, which I'll expand on.
yeah. So the thing is, it resonates with me as well. I would never have
Mm.
used that term, but it
Mm.
resonates with me because I think the real key to brand is to
Mm.
get to the real true essence of the thing or the person. Do you know what I mean? Of
Mm.
the
Yeah,
business.
definitely.
So this idea
Definitely.
that it's vibrational, if you can communicate something that is the essence of the thing, like the true essence of
Mm.
the thing, then that's probably the most authentic way to actually represent a business. So that was kind of interesting. That definitely resonates with me. That vibrates with me.
Wonderful. Give me some of that. Oh.
So yeah. So tell us how it kind of works with you and your clients. You know, what kind of stuff is it that you're doing for them?
Yeah, thanks. So yeah, really pleased that you touched on the importance of finding that essence, if you like, what's at the heart. And for me, I would say the most valuable part of my service offering really is what I call the identity foundation stage. So in a nutshell, I have 3 stages of work that I do: identity foundation, the brand concept, and then the visual design, which can also include other types of design, sound or anything, but generally it's just visual. And just a quick summary of those: identity foundation is going inwards into the client or the client team and creating an objectively understood identity on paper that the client is happy with, everyone understands in the team, and it represents an alignment of the team, but also crucially I can get it as well. So it's taken what's in here, put it on paper, so it's very clear and it sounds great. The concept phase is extending that, if you like, pot of soil that we've done in the first phase into how does that then interact with the marketplace? What's the market landscape like? You know, how is the brand positioned, and what tools can we use to define the brand positioning in a useful way, such that we can start to think about ideas for representing the company? It's much more than what what the team want and are internally aligned about. It's how do we then create something that meets the expectations of the market, that is positioned within their competitors or aligns with their potential partnerships. And this is still written, you know, I like to work very much written up to this point, because you can just talk about stuff, you can explain it, you can write it down, very quickly change and shift between ideas. And then once you've got like a compelling concept, then I take that into the visual design stage. And that's when it's more a case of like a lot of the conceptual creative work is done, and then it's a case of visually crafting something that's beautiful and works in line with what's expected.
Okay. Okay, so that makes perfect sense, and it's not very different from what I do. What I do is, no, it is quite different, because I don't, but here's the difficulty I've always had with brand. Whenever I've engaged, wherever I've been working with a customer and we've had to address their brand and I've engaged with a designer, it's always been a very, like a doubly subjective thing. So the client absolutely categorically wants something. The designer categorically wants something that's going to complement their portfolio. And neither of them are particularly interested in what the market actually wants or needs, you know. So for me, like the effective marketing that we do is all about understanding the market and what it is the market wants and being the thing that the market wants. But I understand you have to temper that, because at the end of the day, your client has to sign off and it has to be kind of what they want. Do you know what I mean? So that's interesting that you cover those two aspects of that. What I'm going to do is stop now, because we're on 3.5 minutes, and then you can click again on the same link, I think, and we'll all be back here and we'll carry on. Is that cool?
Okay. Yeah.
And then we'll have
cool.
40 minutes. Thanks, man.
Cool, man.
I did it and I didn't know it was going to happen. It was fucking really annoying.
Oh, good.
But I knew it was coming this time, so we were able to manage it. Right, so I am recording again so we can carry on. So I was saying it's interesting that you've got that kind of market examination component to what it is that you do in terms of understanding what it is that the market would take. Should we, before we carry on, define what brand is? Because I don't think people know what brand is.
Yeah, definitely. Let's do that.
Cool, you go first.
Okay. Whoa. So yeah, for me, brand is, like you say, it's the feeling, the essence of, well, actually, the official definition of what a brand is it's the perception in someone else's head of what your company is and does. So officially, you can't really tell someone what the brand is. Whatever you do with your designs, whatever you do with your content, whatever you do with your experience, whatever you do with your colors, whatever you do with the way you speak to people, which are all components that we use to create the brand, you can't actually tell someone what it is. It's what they will either say back to you if you do any like customer surveys with them, or it's what they tell others about the brand. So that's
and the
really
way they engage with the brand and the way they act with the brand.
Yeah, the way they feel, I would put it more specifically, is it's kind of like, it's a feeling that you create for them. It's an experience that you create for them. So like when they say, like when they see your logo, which is the primary visual asset for your brand, it might make them feel a certain way. It might also make someone else feel a different way. But the key differences here, especially in terms of the market context, is that my aim is to know the person who I want to feel a certain way when they see the logo. And so then I've designed it in the context of their background, tastes, history, community, so that when they see that, they will have the reaction or the feeling, the desired feeling, which is, you know, that's the essence of the brand. It's almost like the identity foundation that I described it's discovering what that essential feeling is inside the client, so that then we can make creative logos, use color palettes, typography, and extend that to however else you want to design the experience, so that when the right person comes along, they get the same feeling ultimately.
Yes.
And then contrast that to marketing. Like, someone can pick up the feeling of the brand from some marketing, but for me, the brand is very much it's this collection of qualities, logo, color palette, typography, music, that come together in a certain way. And then marketing is actions with these, or it's deliverables, what I like to call deliverables. So, like you decide that you need to go and put this here to get the attention of someone. They aren't coming to you, it's outwardly going. It's letting people know about things, and that has very direct, interesting, very direct, measurable returns on it. If I buy like 50 posters, then I can hopefully get 10,000 people to see my offer if I put it in the right place. It's got those kind of like qualitative actions,
Quantitative.
Quantitative actions,
Yes.
responses, and things associated with it. Whereas a brand I would say would be more in the qualitative side of things.
Okay, I'm going to disagree with you. I'm going to agree with your definition because thank you. So it's not going to get ugly, don't worry. I'm close to where you are. So I agree with your definition. For a long time, I used to tell people that your brand was the clothes that you wear, that you dress your business in, which it kind of is. And I did believe that for a long time. But what I came to believe quite quickly when I started my business, the Effective Marketing Company, was that actually the brand is what exists in the people. What of your business exists in other people's minds. It absolutely is that. And effective brand is that it does exist in people's minds. Do you know what I mean? So I do this whole shtick when I'm doing my digital marketing training. We talk about brand, and we talk about like more brand marketing, display advertising, those kinds of things. I've got this whole shtick about how I'm going to give you the whole shtick, but the whole shtick is like,
hit me with it.
I play a lot of tennis, and one time I was getting ready to go and play tennis, and what I did is I put on my Adidas tennis shorts, my Adidas tennis t-shirt, and I put on my Adidas tennis socks and my Adidas tennis shoes, my Adidas tennis cap, picked up my Adidas tennis bag, and caught a reflection of myself out as I was leaving the house. And the realization hit me that Adidas have really done a job on me. Now, when I started telling this story, I don't know, in 2012, what happened that night is I was abroad delivering this course, and there's always one thing you haven't packed, and this time it was aftershave. So I went to the little local shop and I needed some aftershave, and the aftershave I bought was, of course, Adidas aftershave. So it's that front of mind thing that I don't go into a store looking for Adidas things, but when I leave, it's Adidas that's in my bag. So that's kind of that's where a brand hits marketing, and the two things kind of come together. The other thing I guess
it's like you're drawn to it, like you said, it's in your head, and so then you're more likely to see it and respond positively to it. I guess the brand doesn't necessarily need to do any actions other than being present there. They don't necessarily need to like say, hey, we've got a 50% deal on the Adidas aftershave. You would just be like, oh, just like it, I'm drawn to it.
Exactly. And it is this kind of subliminal thing that goes on. So the follow on to that is then I talk about our brand relationships, because we all have brand relationships. So for example, if I were in the UK and I were buying some pants, I'd be going to Marks and Spencer's. If I were buying shirts, I might go to Next. Or if I were to drive a car, it would be an Alfa Romeo. That is my brand of car. I typically own a pair of Ray-Ban sunglasses. I buy a pair of Ray-Ban sunglasses every 2 or 3 years. I take photos. So my brand now is Sony, but for the longest time it was Nikon, and I despised Canon with a passion for no good reason. I've got no experience of them. And even when Nikon screwed up, when I was taking pictures of Mount Cook and I had perfect bluebird skies, but they weren't perfect because there were oil spots over them, I was still married to Nikon. Do you know what I mean? So it's about, so the brand, this is maybe an extension of what you're talking about, which is kind of the way it looks and the color palette and all those things and the sounds. But, and there have been actions. So all of the actions that the Adidas have made over the course of my life, from when I was like 8 and the German students turned up and told me that Adidas stands for All Day I Dream About Sex, or when they sponsored this tennis player or that football player, or that all of those actions have happened to put them right at the front of my mind. So when I'm faced with a selection, I'm drawn to their offering and I buy their offering. You know, this is the huge, huge value of brand marketing. And this is why the brands invest so much in brand marketing. And, you know, we see it in practical marketing, in digital marketing terms, where you can actually now start to measure the effect of your brand, because you can start looking for branded search. So instead of searching for tennis shoes, I'm now searching for Adidas tennis shoes, you know? So I think that's where the two things come together. And you're right that marketing, I define marketing as finding, winning, and keeping customers profitably. And the way you do that effectively is by landing the right message at the right time on the right person. And of course, that's where brand has its power, especially in the way you're describing it, which I've never had it described before, which is it's about getting to this vibrational understanding where it actually, where you can reliably expect a reaction because you've designed that reaction in, which is also kind of where I'm interested to get to, because I'm sure you've done business with like NLP coaches and those kinds of things. So how mystical are you getting in terms of suggestions and all this kind of stuff? If you're working in this space, that must be expected, no?
No, I mean, what I really tend to focus on is a degree of authenticity with regards to that. I mean, the process that I described is complex enough without kind of having to have some very nuanced, I guess, play on words, or what would be sort of
mind control,
yeah,
suggestion,
I mean,
or whatever.
I mean, I would almost even see that kind of thing. I would see that more as a marketing campaign. It's sort of like with the brand, unless it is kind of cheekily, tongue-in-cheek, playing a joke on itself. If anything's too complex, then that kind of becomes the identity. So then sort of like, where do you lose this sort of, well, actually it's that, but then it's got this. Whereas I think because of the, say like the brand, although it changes over time, it's kind of like you want it to be your constant. Because another thing that I'd like to touch on where I think this is really relevant as well is actually within the internal company, operating in relationships, like these facets of the identity in the brand can be super powerful there as well. So like even in that respect, you want to have something reliable and concrete that is, you know, set for a reasonable period of time. Whereas I guess the marketing, like a marketing campaign or an outward campaign, could then like play with that in a different way and say, okay, well, you think we're this, but actually now we're going to present it like this, you know? So like those kind of more frequent intervals where you can actually play around what the basic element of the brand is, if you like, you know?
Yes. I did a presentation that will be going up on my website soon. I don't know when it was, like 10 years ago. I used to do these presentations for like a local Chamber of Commerce, like the county Chamber of Commerce. And it was stupid. I was coming up with presentations like every literally 20 minutes. They were like, Martin, do you want to talk about this? Do you want to talk about that? Do you want to talk about anything? So anyway, this talk was, and I was talking about things I shouldn't have been talking about, but this talk was about brand. So I came up with a presentation and I called it, Does My Business Look Big in This? Which I was really pleased with. And, but it was kind of, it's about the enormous power of brand and how it's about, you know, consistency and trust and all of those things. And, you know, as a marketeer, I was saying that have brand, you can charge more, you'll have better relationships, you'll have more repeat customers. And the internal thing that you're talking about is really important, because look at the way people feel about working for Apple or Facebook, or, you know, those people don't run ads. They've got a queue of people who want to work there all day, every day. And when they work there, they're hugely committed. So certainly it works internally. And I think that was one of my points, is people will want to work for you if you've got brand. And the other thing that's interesting is this trust and this consistency thing, because like you say, you're not in control of the way people perceive your business. The best you can do is influence that. And you influence that by investing in the way your brand looks and the way your brand sounds and the experiences that you deliver for people. But get that wrong, and that also goes to the subliminal. Like, I don't use them because I had, or my Aunt Greta had this experience in 1982 where something went wrong. Do you know what I mean? So it's in really interesting space. But the point about where this kind of fits with marketing is that delivering the right message, what we're kind of suggesting, which I know is true, is that 50% of that message at least is that subliminal. I already know these people, I already trust this. So do you know what I mean? This evokes that feeling in me already. So when the marketing, the more stark marketing message is laid over the top, we've got a retreat now, then people are already kind of, half of that message at least has landed in a positive way. Do you see what I'm saying?
Yeah. Oh, most certainly. Yeah. I'd love to dig into a little bit of that, like internal reliability stuff, if you think so now. But I guess that's taking the discussion further away from the marketing. But yeah, I mean, it's really interesting though, looking at it through your lens of like, marketing is putting the right message in front of the right person at the right time, so that they will, what's the last bit of it? They will make a purchase. Is that it?
I never said that. That's you and your cynical brand identity head.
Oh, I thought that's what you said. You said you used to tell people that. What was your definition of marketing then?
Oh no, my definition of marketing is finding, winning, and keeping customers profitably.
Oh, finding, winning, and keeping customers profitably. Yeah, okay.
And the way you do that is by landing the right message on the right person at the right time.
Yeah, so I guess the right message is actually what you could call the brand at the most, sort of like you said, the 50% of that message is, this is the brand, you know, and then the other 50% is, we're doing a retreat now, or whatever it is. But the base level of it is that. So then it's really interesting looking at the two. It's sort of like, which is the daddy here, you know?
No, so it's
not that one of them needs to be, but it's sort of like, where did they sort of like, how do they fit around each other? I'm fascinated by that thought.
Okay, but it's not a hierarchy, because it can't be a hierarchy, because you could give me the most beautiful message in the world, the most beautiful brand and identity and all the colors and the fonts and everything's right and everyone feels great. If my marketing message is fuck you, it ain't gonna work.
Yeah.
So it has to be, you know, there have to be the two.
The person wants to hear.
Maybe for some of your sex consultant type customers, it might be what they want to hear. But
sex consultant types. I love
that. I know some of these people. I think I know the person you're talking about. But so what did I want to say? So the two have to go hand in hand.
I'm not talking about anyone in particular.
No, you said one of my clients. You were talking about somebody. Yeah, you were talking about somebody. Anyway, that's cool.
Oh,
so what did I want to say? We don't have to bring that person up now. What did I want to say? So the two things have to work together, but I would say the
Yeah.
foundation has to be brand. You know, so like if there's a chronology to it, then you should invest in your brand before you start landing messages. You know, you should build that trust. And I don't think that's
Yeah.
particularly difficult. Even if you've got no money, you know, you can. Is it difficult? I don't know. I kind of enjoy this stuff, so I don't mind doing it. But the key then is
Yeah.
if you've got no money, you're starting a business, then the key is just to be consistent. You know, so pick a font. I mean, you've seen this, like where you get an invoice you get a proposal from a business and it's in one font. You get an invoice, it's in another font, and you get a third invoice and it's in another font again, or different. Do you know what I mean? So it just needs to be consistent throughout. So I think business people can start doing this themselves, even maybe before they've got the money to engage a brand and identity specialist like yourself. They can start thinking. I suppose it's just like,
Well, you've hit the nail on the head there for me. Ultimately, the foundational step of creating your brand is thinking.
yes,
And it's pointing that lens at yourself. And this is like quick sidetrack. The reason I started doing these two, the Identity Foundation and the concept creation, is because I was so fed up coming from a much more visual design focused place, so fed up of trying to work with people who hadn't thought about what they wanted or how it would impact them or their relationship to it. And so the reason that thinking piece or reflecting piece is so difficult is because people are busy. You know, they start a business and then they're like, holy shit, you know, I've got overheads, I've got to get customers coming in, I've got loads of work to do, I'm busy. And so then they just don't necessarily have the chance to like go, no, actually, I'm going to take an hour today to just think about my identity. You know, it's just like one of those things that they don't have the time for. The other blockage that you quite often see with it is very difficult to think about your own identity and your own business, because it's just hard to be self-referential about stuff, you know. So yeah, like on one hand, if they did just sit down and be like, okay, even if it's just 5 minutes, what am I going to write down that can be my identity? And there's loads of templates out there that you can look at, and then just stick to that. That would be a great step in the first place, because then they would have that consistency. But yeah, quite often you don't see people doing that. I don't know what your experience of trying to find out what people actually want is, but I would hazard a guess to say it's similar to that.
my experience is people don't have a clue what it is that they want. And if they do, they don't want to tell you. Right. So this comes to like kind of where my interest is, why people don't do marketing. And the part of marketing that's not your part, I think it's partly because people have a shitty attitude of marketing, especially where we come from in the UK. People have salespeople. You're not supposed to be seen to be hungry to be successful. You're certainly not supposed to be seen to be trying to be successful. If you are successful, it has to be kind of an accident, or else people don't like you for it. There's all this stuff going on, coupled with the fact that marketers are complete arseholes, like my part of marketing. They lie, they spout jargon, they don't keep a customer. There's a stat where the average digital marketing customer lasts 3 months only in London. So they don't keep a customer. So marketers like me are complete bullshitters. So this is why on the two hands, like customers don't like it and they don't want to do it. And then when they come to do it, they're completely bullshitted. And so it's no wonder it's the unholy mess that it is. If I think about your part of marketing specifically, and there being an issue with it, is that customers don't, I think, understand the true value of it. They don't understand that they don't understand how it works. they think that their business should look exactly the way they want it to look. Whereas in the whole of marketing, it's got fuck all to do with them. It's really about what the market wants, as far as I'm concerned. And then the fourth thing is if they've got any clue whatsoever, they can't convey it. And the part of it being about the way they want it to look is they expect somebody just to produce hundreds of things and then just to be able to pick and choose what it is that they want from that. So that's the customer part of brand that makes it difficult. The designer part is that designers are quite knobby. So
Careful,
they,
I am a designer.
I know you are, so present company excluded, but the number of times, because I'm sitting in between, because I'm not a graphic designer, so we'll have to engage with the brand, we'll have to fix the brand, we'll have to get engaged a designer. I've done this before, I kind of understand the process, but probably 70% of the time I've got to the point where the customer's saying it's not what I want, and the designer's saying fuck them, they don't know what they're talking about, this is the best thing they're ever going to get, and it becomes really difficult there. So so like in the whole of marketing, it's kind of difficult from both sides, and it's not always the case. Sometimes you get a dream customer and they know what they want, and you get a dream designer and they're able to deliver that. But those are the two kind of, it's that conflict that's really, I think, difficult. And it sounds to me
So
like
that
you've got,
is, yeah, sorry, go ahead.
well, it sounds to me like you've countered that by having this kind of discovery process, so that, and I think probably your clients are at the level that somebody in personal or spiritual development is investing in their brand. They are experiencing some success, they are delivering success for their customers, and they are appreciating maybe the value of this. So I think you're in a better niche than that. And I think you've countered it by having this discovery process where they understand this is what's going on. Does that make sense?
Yeah, most certainly. I mean, really, those both processes, the identity foundation and the concept creation, really are like, so I would be really happy to work with a client, do those two phases, and then let them go off and work with another designer to do the visual identity, because I'd be so happy that they would really fully understand what it was, and it was articulated so well that anyone can pick it up and pretty much understand what they need and have a large range of scope to work from it. So yeah, a lot of it's about kind of like really digging in and maintaining like that brief and that awareness of your task and your intention all the way through. That's where the high vibrations come in. You know, it's sort of like, it's identifying them at the beginning so that we can make sure every step of the way when we describe the brand concept, is it hitting those high vibrations for you, and is it clear how it's hitting them for someone else? So yeah, that's really where the value is in those parts of the work. Not to mention the internal productivity, alignment, and kind of like attraction of people that you can get by having a really fully aligned team around this identity. I've got a story, a case study I can share from one of my clients around how powerful that can be, if you'd like to hear it as well.
I'd like to hear it, yeah.
So the Baptiste Foundation, I worked with them just to do the identity foundation stage, and they were kind of in some like organizational misalignment. They had a big team of leaders of 8. They called them the faculty leaders around the States, who were all working together, but they were all like coming at it from their own place. And the program that I did with them really gave them the chance to all share, understand where they were all coming from, and we collaboratively created this definition of their identity, which really, you know, ultimately it was like a mission, vision, purpose, beliefs, and values statements with some other stuff around it. But that was really the deliverable that came out of it. Was, but the reason that it had been collaborated on, shared, and understood by everyone was phenomenal, because they went off in the next quarter, and they primarily get their income in from fundraising. And so there was a global yoga event over 3 days that they went off to fundraise at. And the impact was phenomenal. Like, because the team was galvanized, they understood each other, but more importantly, they were all saying exactly the same thing. And we didn't take this any further, didn't do any more brand concepts or any more visual design work. At the Baptiste Global Summit, for the Baptiste Yoga Institute, which is they're kind of like the foundational sister company of. Their target was to raise 30 grand over 3 days, and they raised 300 grand.
Good. So now I'm going to give you some marketing advice. Like, you have produced that case study. You have landed that case study on everyone you work with.
Yes.
Okay, good.
Yeah, it's
it's
on my website, and I shared it when I first wrote it, but it's well worth a reshare.
Yeah, of course. Because that for me is, so the right message then, to come back to how you achieve effective marketing, is we're doing this and people are happy about us doing it. That's the right message. It doesn't have to be any more complicated than that. So that kind of case study is really valuable. And I think, because I've known we're having this conversation, so I've kind of been thinking about brand, and I think brand is becoming much more measurable, or the value of brand is becoming much more measurable, and brand is becoming so much more important because of the way we engage with the world online. So like looking like a quality, trustworthy brand, and maybe especially in your industry, I'm sure there are charlatans out there who are just fleecing people, and the market of your market is known to be kind of a vulnerable, susceptible kind of market. So the ability to look trustworthy and worthy of investment, I think, is really important in your market. But I just think across everything, like, we land on a website, and again, before we're even looking, is this right? If something's wrong or out of place, we won't acknowledge it, but subliminally it will be, okay, I don't fancy this one. Do you know what I mean? So I think brand is kind of more important. I think it's more measurable than it has been historically. And in the street, in the old days, you'd have to go in the streets and ask people, can you think of a train company beginning with S? Yes, Southern. Brand marketing's working. But now it's like, I think it's much more, because we can see branded search, and like you say, we can see the value of it. Like, in that instance, they were expecting to earn 30, they made 300. It doesn't surprise me. It doesn't surprise me. I think I'm going to say that brand is at least 50% of the marketing.
Okay. That's a good start point.
I've got no basis to say that. I'm going to say it's more than 50% of the marketing. And it's interesting what you're saying. Like, this authenticity is really important, because that's where the trust comes from. So if it is authentic, if it's real, you don't have to think about, I have to do this thing or say this thing or look this way, or because that's the way you want to look and say and be. So I think that's also really, important.
Yeah, and even for like a solo entrepreneur, or someone that's running their own business, say for example, like a typical client of mine who is a practitioner, they have their own practice, and they deal with their clients and they speak to their clients face to face. Just the ability for them to, and if we're talking identity foundation, but these same premises extend all the way through into the actual visual design or whatever else you're designing and creating. But just by purely sitting down and doing that thinking and going, okay, this is me, this is what I say about me, and this is how the stories that have led to me deciding on this, that I remember, just by saying, okay, this is what I'm going to say, then every time they speak to someone, they don't need to think about it. Oh, what do I have to say? They've just got it. It's just there. And so then it's not like they say a different thing to different people and then it's a drag on their energy. It's just like, it's something they don't need to think about. And so then they can put that energy into being, just doing their job better as well.
Yes.
And so then that simple premise for an individual just snowballs when you start to look at organizations or effectively communicating to your designer what you want, that then they get, and they can sort of buy into the sort of the power of your vision, I guess, if you like.
Yes. Or it's like a business where they employ lots of young people and then they make them wear suits and ties. It's like every single one of those young people wakes up every morning and they're like, I have to put a suit and a tie on again and go out. And then all day they're walking around like that. I mean, that's probably a shitty analogy.
Yeah, they're feeling uncomfortable.
But it's that sense.
And they don't feel like they're really being themselves. And so then by this an element of energy that you're holding back, that's stopping you from doing as good a job as you can in whatever you're doing.
Yes.
Ultimately, yeah, if you look at it that way.
Yeah. And the thing is, I think that the authentic thing is the least energy thing. I think that's what we're saying. It's like, if this is authentic, then I don't have to think about doing it. There is no charade. There is no, I don't have to learn anything. This is exactly the way that I want to engage. Okay, good.
Yeah.
It's interesting. Now, I am imagining, because you are in the personal and spiritual development kind of industry, and because some people have quite a lot of time on their hands at the moment, I would imagine that your industry is actually doing quite well right now.
That's an interesting question. I mean, I think also, well, this is just pure guesswork, but maybe people see this kind of work as a luxury as well. So like if people have got their bottom line impacted, then they might reprioritize. I wouldn't say that's the case. I would see. It's funny. I think you could take the same approach to like spiritual and personal growth and development as you can to marketing. It's like, if you put the effort and the time into it, then you will get bigger rewards than you could imagine. But it does take a conscious effort and, investment in a number of ways to do them.
Yes. So this is what I used to say to people about when I was running the business properly. I used to say marketing is like gym membership. So basically, when you meet somebody, they're really excited, they're fully committed, everything's going to happen. And then 3 weeks later, they'd rather sit at home and eat cake. So I can imagine that there is a very definite parallel. But I was thinking that because obviously we're in a health situation, a bad health situation, I would think that people would be looking to invest in their well-being, and so that might be why this particular industry might be doing well. That was my rationale.
Yeah, I mean, I also think there is, I mean, definitely. To be honest, I don't really know. Like, on one hand, the travel bans have really screwed up a lot of retreats, and a lot of this work is primarily focused around retreats. So that's a big issue for it. So yeah, undoubtedly, people in my niche are needing to do much more online, which they don't necessarily always do. So then that is really a challenge for digital marketing right there. That's the kind of thing that they would really need to invest into. Or even people that I'm talking to who are maybe transitioning their identity, their role, and their profession now into this realm. That really is the primary focus for them. If they're going to launch a business and find clients, online is the primary route now. So yeah, but in terms of the uptake and the the, like you say, how popular it is, I'm not sure. I couldn't really answer that one.
No. Okay. It's kind of interesting. I mean, it seems to me like the big complaint that business owners and business people have is that they never have any time. And it seems to me that the gift of this situation is definitely time. Do you know what I mean? Everyone should have more time. I spoke to Tim, was the last person I spoke to in this series, and he was saying that his business is so much more effective because of, instead of the leadership all running around trying to make things happen and meeting people and, you know, doing what business leaders typically do, they're kind of all in it and engaged in it again. And certainly when I was running my business, that was my issue. I was never there to make sure anything happened. You know, I was never there. So it seems to me that there's that opportunity. And it seems to me also, I suppose the question is how, you know, there are industries where this is existential. You know, they will be lucky to exist after this is finished. And I suppose the question people have to ask is how invested in their business are they? Are they going to be prepared to stand and fight now to make sure it continues? Well, if you're a pub, good luck with that. You know, you can't let anyone in. And then are they going to be prepared to wait until it's over and see what's left of their business and then start again? Because it seems to me, if you're being paid to sit at home and watch Piers Morgan shout at politicians, you might as well invest this time in your brand and your marketing so that, you know, even if, I don't know. I think it's interesting.
Definitely.
We're on less than a minute. Are we going to carry on? In which case I'm going to hang up and we'll have to reconnect.
Yeah, sure, can do. I mean, I guess probably not for too long, but if we want to wrap it up.
We definitely need to do a proper goodbye, don't we? So otherwise
let's do that.
Hate each other. All right, man. Okay, cheers.
Is that...
Wait. I wasn't recording again.
Oh, it says recording.
It does now because I've just pressed the button.
Oh, right.
Okay. Let me ask you that question again. So I kind of suppose in my clumsy roundabout kind of a way is what I'm interested to know is if you have a recommendation for people who are running businesses or thinking of investing in their brand. You know, what is your recommendation right now in this stupid situation that we find ourselves in?
Yeah, my recommendation is to take some time to distance yourself from your day-to-day activities on your business, zoom out and just ask yourself some questions about, like, you know, why did you start it, and what was it that made you feel like really passionate about it in the first place to begin it, and what is it that enables you to do a really good job for people? So then how can you maybe start to tease out and really find what are the nuggets of gold that are underneath your identity, and then just see where that can take you. It's highly likely that a lot of people are going to be needing to reposition the way they work now, whether that be to focus to moving online. So then how can these things that you've thought about and spent time reflecting on, how can you use those? Which ones excite you, in fact, even which ones motivate you to then go forward and pivot in a way you want, or even double down on what you're doing super well and are super excited about. So it's like, if you have the time now, just take a little bit of stock and then make an intentional plan for where you're going to move to next, because it's either going to be essential to reignite your spark of your business and pivot to find a more fruitful area of working or customers, or to double down if things are going well.
Yes, I think it's, I mean, I just think it's incredible what's happening. I can't believe what's happening. But if there is a gift in this, and it's interesting because I spoke to Tim last, So he is probably the most spiritual of all the proper marketing people that I know. So, but he was kind of on the same message. I transcribed his thing today, and there was a quote that he put in there, which was essentially, if you love your business and you're having fun in your business and your business is a representation of you, then you're going to attract the customers that you need and want. You know, it's going to be as simple as that. But what he was saying is that what he typically does is he asks people on the first meeting, are you happy in your business? And the answer is, people aren't happy in their business because they're so far removed from the passion that got them investing it in the first place, you know? So,
yeah.
And I think this is like, to bring this all the way round, I'm not going to go as far as spiritual, but I'm going to say this is personal development. You know, if you love your business, if your business looks great, if your business is an accurate representation of you, if you deliver value for your customers and your customers like you, that's a really happy life to have, you know, and that's where you need to get to before you start thinking about, how do I want people to perceive my business, and how am I going to go to market, and who am I going to sell to, and all those things. And I just think that, you know, for those people who are still trading, that's great. I think everyone's having to adapt. That's also probably healthy. Some businesses are going to go away. That's also probably healthy. But for people who are invested in their business, this time is golden. You know, this is the time you've been crying about not having, the whole entire time you've been, the entire time that you've been running your business. Now you've got what you said you wanted all the way through, and you need to make use of that time. That's kind of what I think.
Yeah.
So is there anything? Yeah.
Yeah. And I was just going to add, on my website, I have an online course called an Idea Workshop, which is the short 15-minute version is available for free. And so, like, if anyone is thinking that this would be good, they're interested, actually I have the time to reflect, or feel like it would be fruitful, then they can go to my site and do the Idea Workshop, and it will just be the first few steps in that process.
Fantastic.
It's a 15-minute, you answer it with video responses or audio recordings, and the magic is in that reflection. So yeah, that's a framework where they can start that reflection from right there.
Fantastic. And I think this is, like I was saying to you earlier, I'm excited about this. I've not been excited about this for like 6 years. And now it is like going to the gym. You know, like I started 6 weeks ago trying to sort all of this stuff out. And now I'm at the point where I'm getting out of bed and I'm thinking, I get to do some work today. Whereas for the first month at least, I was thinking, fuck, I've got to do that stuff today. So here's my question for you. So if they want to get access to that, or they want to get access to you, the 3 people who might end up seeing this video, they will find you. We'll have to do this again, because I want to talk about the whole Autotelic thing. Is it Autotelic or Techlic?
Autotelic.
I want to talk about that, but I might want to talk to you about that for my photography website, because I want to do like some more creative stuff on there. But I'm into that. What was his name? Chechen Millen.
Oh yeah, Chick High, send me high. Yeah,
really?
That guy, the flow, the daddy, the send high, chick, send me high. That's how you say his name. Yeah.
Oh, okay. Well, you're more committed than I am.
His surname is Chick Send Me High, but you would never send high chick. I'm pretty sure it's send high, chick, send me high. Yeah, the granddaddy of flow writing about flow, because obviously like flow's been an integral part of our human experience. Even animals get into flow, you know, so like
so I definitely want to talk to you about that. So but if they want to get in touch with you, then it's
that actually
so it's Autotelic
.arts
ARTS, so they can find you there.
No, just ART.
Autotelic.art. Okay, cool. So they can find you there. if they're looking for you on
Yeah.
Facebook, they will find you as Bobby Oblong Ting. So this is the question I have for you, because you're a graphic
Yeah.
designer, which is, what's the difference then between an oblong and a rectangle?
Oh, fantastic question. So no, there is no real difference. Like an oblong is a rectangle, basically.
Okay. And it's just that Oblong Ting is like Adlington. So that's how you derived at that.
Yeah. Ultimately, like I don't particularly announce, or I don't speak very clearly. And people like, I can't necessarily, so my given name is Robert, which I struggle to say. Um, since I've been living in Asia, Bobby is much easier for other people to get and to know. And then Adlington is just my whole life, Adlington, Addington, Arlington. So I just thought Oblong Ting. Everyone
Okay.
gets that first time.
Okay. And you never even considered a rectangle Ting. That's the shame of it.
No. Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Okay, cool, man. I have thoroughly enjoyed this. Is there anything else that you
Yeah.
particularly wanted to say that you haven't said yet?
Yeah, not really. I mean, people can find me on Facebook, Auto Telecarts, my page there as well. But no, that's really it. Like, yeah, I mean, it's for me, like the brand starts at finding that kind of that essence, that inspiration, and then it just goes from there out into everything you do.
Yes.
So that's really the intention.
And this is the last thing that I wanted to say about brand, which is brand evolves. So in like a practical marketing way. So here's the story of my business. I was on a personal development course, would you believe it, in 2005. And I hated it. And I fought with the guy all the way through, and yeah, I hated it. And my mate came and collected me at 11 o'clock and we'd done 16-hour days, came and collected me at 11 o'clock on the Sunday night. And I fought with him all the way back from London to Brighton, and about how shit it was and why did he set me up for that. I woke up the next morning, started my business, and I called it the Effective Marketing Company because there'd been somebody on the course who was running the hemp trading company. And so that's kind of where it came from. So this is the very foundation of my brand. So what I did throughout was I always, you see, I'm invested in personal development. You see, what I did throughout was I always took videos. So starting in 2005, you can imagine the state of these videos. I was shooting them on phones, and you know, it's just terrible. But always, like if anyone was saying nice things about me, I'd get a testimonial and I'd stand the camera in front of them and say, okay, I'd had some like rote questions, da 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 da. So one way that this evolved is one day I got a call and a friend of mine was running an exhibition. And they said, look, Martin, we've got a stand if you want it tomorrow. It's not going to cost you anything. You know, take it if you want it. So I'm like, okay, well, I'm busy tomorrow. Everyone's busy tomorrow. We've got no one to go there. So what we did is we rocked up at 7 o'clock in the morning and we just put all of these testimonials on loop, like for the whole day. So they're just running on a monitor on the stand. And we put like an empty vase next to it and just said, and right in the back of your business card, how effective people think the Effective Marketing Company was. So it was like literally how many times people use the word effective when they're talking about the Effective Marketing Company. And then I went back at 7 o'clock when the whole thing was over. And all the exhibitors were like, you've had a queue of people at your stand like all day today. And the thing was overflowing. And there were business cards all over the table because of that. And then, of course, what we had to do is we had to go through the videos and count how many times people had used the word effective. And it's like, okay, whilst we're doing that, we might as well chop it up. So we produced a little video, which was like, how effective is the Effective Marketing Company? And there was like a dinger going up every time somebody said the word effective. So that's what I think about brand, is that it evolves. You know, you start with something and it grows into something that is, you know, useful and interesting in dozens and dozens and dozens of ways. And that's really what I think then brand is like, if you think about the Apples and the Facebooks, it becomes about the mythology of that brand. Do you know what I mean? Where I'm not saying that we were mythological or we were myth worthy, but the idea evolves into something which is much more different, which is why I would encourage people to think about brand in a meaningful way, the way you're describing it now, because there is opportunity in that, and there is ideas in that, and there is legend in that. And that's where brand becomes really something that people can really get married to. Do you know what I mean? And really believe in. That's what I think.
Yeah, and worst case scenario, if it just gives you as the business owner a better perspective or a better idea for what you want to spend your time and energy on, then it's been worth it.
Yeah.
You know?
And also, like Tim was saying, what is there in your business to be proud of? Do you know what I mean? If you this is your opportunity to actually project something that, you know, I think this really goes straight to the motivation. Like, I launched myself out of bed for 9 years for the Effective Marketing Company because I was in love with the idea of the Effective Marketing Company. And you're right, that's the feeling you want your staff to have. That's the feeling that you want your market to have. That's the feeling that you want your customers to have. Man, I'm thinking about downloading your thing and doing your 15-minute test.
Oh, please do. Well, if you're lucky, I might send you the hour-long one. So like the 15-minute one is cool, but I've got an hour-long one. So if you want that, let me know. And if anyone else is watching this, just send me, contact me via the contact form on the website and say, can I have the hour-long one, please? And then I'll send it to you as well.
Okay, cool. There's a chance here for some legend. They need to contact you and they need to say a very specific thing, like brand is life or brand is vibration is brand. If they contact you and they say vibration is brand in the email, then they get it for free. So the question I have for you then is, am I lucky? Can I have it?
Yeah, you can. You've been a good boy.
Excellent. This has been so cool, man. I knew it would be cool. I know you were worried that I was going to grill you about marketing, but actually I was really interested in the brand and identity thing. So, man, thanks again for spending this time with me. I've really enjoyed it.
Yeah, I just didn't know what angle you'd be coming from. So it's been really great to have the discussion about all the different facets of it. Yeah, thank you.
And I don't know if it's going to happen, but I think, and I'm going to downgrade my designers are knobby. Designers, the word I've always used is precious, and I don't know why I decided on knobby today. Designers are a bit precious, so I'm going to take that back down.
Well, it's just lack of communication on that front, and also, like, that's what makes it, lack of communication in a creative process is a nightmare, because someone commits to something and they put it out there, and that's them being quite vulnerable, and so then, like, it's so easy to like miss the communication point there, you know.
I don't know if it's even as complicated as that. I think that the issue is that business owners are egotists and designers largely are egotists. And if somebody like me gets in the middle, that's the person that's going to get fucked. but that's my experiences. Do you know what I mean? The customer doesn't really know what they want, but they know that they want to absolutely love it. And the designer doesn't really know what the customer wants, and they think they should absolutely love whatever they do. And that's where it becomes difficult, I think. I think you've countered the issue. I think your process sounds really useful. I think if I was investing in brand, I would definitely come to you to help me do that. But maybe let's see what happens after I complete this hour long, because I'm lucky, questionnaire.
Yeah, well, 40 minutes. I mean, it's up to you. Like there are 16 questions in it, and you can respond for as long as you like for each question in your response. So I would encourage you to do a nice long 3 or 4 minute response for each one. But if you do an hour, I mean, if you do a minute for each one, then it will be like 20 minutes.
Okay, cool. All right.
Yeah.
The trouble is I'm too competitive, so now I'll be either looking to be the longest ever or the shortest ever. That's where I'll be, because I'm also an egotist. Man, I'm going to let you go.
Cool.
I have thoroughly enjoyed this. I definitely want to do the auto-telic thing, and maybe we can do it once, and it will work here on the Effective Marketing site, and it might work also on my photography site. But I definitely want to call that.
So you mean like breaking down what autotelic means and how it relates to stuff?
Yes. Because it's not a million miles away from what we're talking about now. I think the
Yeah,
reason
we've
people don't
been
like their
covering
business is
it.
because they're not
Yeah,
in flow with it anymore, you know? And so
yeah,
this
yeah.
authenticity, it's, of course, it's no wonder you called your business this. It's, of
Hmm.
course, hugely relevant, but we don't have time to do this now. But we will
No.
do that, I think, at some point in the future. Man, I've thoroughly, thoroughly,
All right.
thoroughly enjoyed this. Thank you so much.
Yeah. Thank you, Martin. It's been great to chat.
Okay, cool. And yeah, I will catch up with you soon. Thanks, man.
All right. See ya.
Cheers. Bye.
Bye.